Welcome to Christ Church. The following is a homily from our Sunday morning gathering in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Enjoy.
You see, this night begins in a graveyard, a valley of desolation where nothing grows, where no one visits, where even memory has stopped trying. This is where Ezekiel tells us where God chooses to speak. Not in a cathedral, not in a sanctuary dressed in gold, but in a dry valley filled with bones, sun-bleached bones, old bones, forgotten bones, the kinds of bones that don't even carry names anymore. Just silence. Just dust, and God turns to Ezekiel the prophet and asks him a question that would make most of us sneer. Son of man, can these bones live? I've heard this question before. Not word for word, but I've heard it. I've heard it in ICU rooms. I've heard it at the edge of graves. I've heard it behind closed doors with people who say, "Is there anything left to save?" I felt it in my own spirit more than once when ministry felt too heavy and the church felt too tired and the voice of God seemed too far away. I felt that question in the dry places where nothing seems to grow anymore. God doesn't ask Ezekiel to be clever. He asks him to speak, to open his mouth and say something holy in the middle of something hopeless. And the thing is about bones is they don't listen right away. They don't leap up on command. They rattle first. They move a little. They make a sound, a small one, a fragile one. Something just under the surface, like a heartbeat returning. That is the scandal of this night. That we dare to speak of resurrection before we even see it. We name life while everything else still looks like death. That is what it means to be the church on Easter. We are standing in the dark with barely enough candlelight to see our own hands, and still we say, "He breathes." But it doesn't stop there. After the bones come together, after the sinews and the skin, there is still no breath. And that is the part that haunts me. Because I've seen churches with all the structure and none of the spirit. I've seen lives lived but breathless. People who can stand, speak, and function, yet haven't inhaled anything holy in years. So God tells Ezekiel to speak again, this time to the wind. Call on the breath, summon the spirit. That is resurrection the long way round. God resurrects in stages, in layers, not with spectacle, but with breath. That is what tonight is about. Not fireworks, not triumph, but a whisper, a stirring, a God who still chooses to speak in the valley of dry bones. And maybe that is where you are. Maybe your faith isn't as loud tonight. Maybe it is cracked or tired or barely holding shape. And that's okay. Resurrection isn't always about noise or splendor. It is about breath, and it's still coming. The truth of Easter is this. Your bones are not too dry, your grief is not too deep, and the valley is not your end. The breath is on its way. Can these bones live? Yes. Yes, they can. And they will. because the grave is not stronger than the breath of God, and death is not deeper than the love that calls us back to life. Amen.